Okay, here's another recording. I just made a video of basically this exact same mission. I'm doing this one again because I'm doing it with different landing legs on the lunar lander. So let's describe the craft before I start. This is a big craft. You can see the center stage is a pretty big diameter, and then it has four boosters on the outside, and they're going to be feeding into the main tank, and then it's going to be surrounded by four solid rocket motors. And when it fires, the four solids are going to fire, and the four boosters are also going to fire. The center stage will not fire. This is the configuration I needed to lift this much weight. The center stage will light after the four solid rocket motors separate. And then when it separates, you'll have the four rockets still lit, and then the center will light and take the rest of it until the four boosters also separate later on. We're going to be going to the moon, and it's going to be a full flight. And basically I just wanted to do this video because this is the third one of this same craft with just different landing legs, just to show the differences on the bounce factor of the legs. Quite a few mods I have on this game, and I use mods basically to give me the parts that I want. The game, for me personally, I mean, there's some diehards that won't play with any mods. They think it's like not pure anymore. I think that's a bunch of BS. The game wouldn't be the game that I like to play without the mods. I mean, the mods just bring so much to the table that the stock game doesn't have. So, you know, for me, using a mod is just going to determine, is it going to give me what I didn't have before I got the mod. Basically, that's how I look at it. I don't put mods in just to put them in, because the downside is the more mods you put in, the more chances you're going to have of a conflict somewhere. So you got to kind of, you know, be a little careful on what mods you choose to see if they're going to be compatible with other mods. Okay, I'm going to try to have the game volume as loud as I can. So when I launch this, I'm not going to say very much until these boosters separate, because it's just too loud for me to narrate it through those boosters. I would have to turn the game volume way down. So I'm going to try to leave it up, and then once these separate, it won't be as loud, and then I can talk more, and then when these separate, it's going to be even better. So I'm going to try it with the highest game volume I can get, using Mechjeb, 200 kilometer orbit. Okay, wrong key. Max Q, throttle down. throttle up. A little better now for talking purposes. As I said, these tanks are feeding the center, so when these 4 empty, we will have a full tank in the center to get us the rest of the way to orbit. Actually, we still got another separation after that. The center stage is actually 2-stage. So a lot of weight on this journey. This payload is a very big lander. And this is what it took me personally to be able to accomplish this whole mission. Plus, it's cool as hell for me. This is one of my favorite rockets. And I think it's because there's so many stages to it. You know, it's all about the journey for me, so the more stuff's going on, the better I like it. I have the game volume now where I can talk. If I was to just be playing this game without narration, this volume that you're hearing right now would be way louder than it is. This is the first recording I've made with my new system. I did a major upgrade, changed my CPU, motherboard, video card, and RAM. I had a i7 3700K, and I replaced it with upgraded it to an i5 8600K. A couple generations newer. I didn't go with an i7 this time because, for one thing, it was $100 more for the 8700, and me already going a few years with the i3770. I didn't really think I needed the hyper-threading. I mean, this core is 6-core compared to 4-core. Of course, the 4-core had hyper-threading. So I thought, for what I do, I think the 8600K would be fine. I didn't even need the K version because I don't really have this overclocked. I kind of have just the stock overclock, which I think goes up to 4.1. I haven't even messed with it yet. So I'm not even using the K. You know, I could have just got a 8600, save myself $40 or so. But I said, oh, hell with it, I'll get the K, just in case I want to mess around with overclocking. And of course, the new CPU requires a new motherboard, and it requires DDR4, which the old system was DDR3. And my video card was a 770, so I upgraded to a 1070. Again, I play at 1080p res, so it wasn't going to really give me much more than a 1080, and the 1080 is going to be $100 more. So I'm trying to choose a system that'll work for me and make it kind of, I mean, there's no sense in spending extra money if you're not going to feel the difference, or if you're not going to need it. So that's the way I kind of looked at this to help me determine which CPU and which video card I was going to use. And a nice difference. Of course, on desktop and stuff that I do, I can't tell. But in games, I can. You know, now I can pretty much max my games out where I couldn't really do that before. They still look plenty good, but I had to turn a lot of them down to medium. Of course, this game, I could max this game out already. But I'm having quite a bit, very noticeable change in performance in this game with this system. And where I can really tell is the more higher of a part count I have, like let's say going to a space station that I built is pretty big. That's where I can really tell the difference. You know, some of these stations I build as big as I can, and some of them I built so big that when I went to them it was almost a slideshow just going around it, and that's where I notice a big difference because it's a lot smoother. The frame rate is a lot smoother on those particular times. So overall, even though I spent over $1,000 on this upgrade, it was worth it to me. And I kind of, you know, I had to really bite my lips spending that much money. So I was hoping that it would be worth it in the end, but it was. Plus I had spare parts from my old system, and I built a computer from scratch for my grandson. So he's pretty much getting my hand-me-downs. We're in our coast phase in our orbit. Going to be another burn here shortly to establish our orbit at 200 kilometers. Still playing on version 1.43. I've talked about this before in my other videos. The reason I have 1.45 on a separate install, but because of the chain sound of the reaction control system and separation boosters, I couldn't adjust to the sound, so 1.43 is the one that I play the most. I keep 1.45 updated, you know, just to keep up with what squad's doing, but I'm actually prefer, for my personal enjoyment, to stay with 1.43 because of the experience factor with the sounds. Okay, we're in orbit. This sound here is what I was talking about. I just prefer this sound here, where the 1.44 and 1.45 are way higher, more higher pitched than this. Some people may like it, I don't. So I'm just playing it because I just prefer the experience of these particular sounds. This is the Gemini dual engine from the FASA mod. Okay, we're doing our burn to escape the Earth's gravity, put us on a trajectory. Translunar injection to the moon. Now here's the difference from this one, this craft, and the previous video I made. Pretty much the exact same craft, except it's got different legs on it. Now you can see these legs are from the FASA mod. They actually go on the LEM, the lunar lander, on the Apollo craft. I like the hell out of these legs. So I use them on a lot of different craft, and it's, besides the look of it, main reason I use it is because of the bounce factor. These are the only legs I've found that I call no bounce legs. When you land with these, you just land on the surface and you just land like I think a landing's supposed to be. All other legs I've tried, the stock game legs, the LT1, the LT2, they just have a bounce that I don't like. And I've even found a mod now, I believe it's called Kerbal Reusability mod. It has a lot of different landing legs. They look really cool. So I like to have the extra legs, but the thing I don't like about them is they all have the same characteristic of the Kerbal stock legs. They all have the bounce, that retraction of the legs, and then that bounce back of the legs. And that's what I specifically object to when the legs settle, but then they bounce back off of the surface and then bounce back down, collapse, bounce back off of the surface again. That's what I just don't like. These legs don't do that. They're the only legs to date that I have used that don't do that. Beats the hell out of me. That's like an irritating factor. I mean, how do you play the game and not ever land anything? So there's no way you can get away from it. You have all these cool effects of all of this stuff like you're seeing, and then you go do these pogo stick landings. And you know, as I've said this before in other videos, there's a config for these legs, but I have not been able to adjust the config to take the bounce out of the legs. I don't know what I'm doing in that config, excuse me. I posted on forums about it to see if I can get any pointers on maybe how to adjust the legs so they behave like these. You know, I don't know why these behave the way they do and all the other ones don't. Beats the hell out of me. But I have not been able to make the other legs behave like these legs. So until I can figure it out how to do that, I'll stick with these legs right here. just because the landing and the landing characteristics are so important to me. It makes me use these legs. Now I had to make some adjustments with these legs because, as I said, they're meant to go on the lunar lander. So if you look, see, they're made to attach here and here. You know, they're surface attached. Actually, there's two of them. One surface attached and one is to attachment points. But the attachment points, and that one's even harder to get it to work because you have to have an attachment point someplace to use it. Or I guess you could use a cubit strut to do it that way. But they really only attach right here, even though on the Apollo limb they attach here and here, because the limb right there, because the limb is wide enough where this whole thing can sit right on the side of the limb, because that's what it was made for. So when you try to use them on something else other than the limb, you're going to have to make some adjustments. You can see this is just hanging out there, but you can see I have a struts to get a better angle here from hard to explain when they're not retracted, when they're not extended, but from here to here on all of them gives the illusion, I guess you could say, that they're attached, they're hard attached on two places, the top and here. You'll see when they're extended what I'm talking about. But I think it looks pretty cool. See, they'll shoot out here. Actually, I could do it now. There, see, when you look at it now, it looks like it's attached. It's made that way. It hangs off of here and then it's attached from here up. And to do that, I had to put an extra strut on here because, see, they weren't made to be like that. Because I have them, see this strut that I put on this strut? It's kind of, yeah, I put these struts here on to give it width. Because if you tried to attach it straight to here, it wouldn't have enough width. See, now if you look at it, because of the craft is so tall, if you look at it now down, it looks about right for the width of that big old tall craft. You tried to put these on the body of the rocket itself, it would look kind of funny. It just wouldn't look out far enough for the craft. So that's why I've made this the way I have. It looks kind of mechanical, which is kind of cool to me. It's sort of like, you know, if you look at the Apollo limb, I mean, it just looks super mechanical. Because in space, it's mechanical's cool, if you know what I mean. Wouldn't fly worth a shit in an atmosphere, but anyway, I think, to be honest with you, I love the look of this craft. Let's put the legs back in now. And With the previous video, I used some SpaceX type of legs from that reusability mod, and they extend out quite a bit further than these. And they extend out so much further, in fact, that I didn't even need this girder. I could attach them straight to this craft and they would be out as far as these are. Maybe even a little bit more, to be honest with you. So I could get rid of this girder, make the craft look a little more streamlined. Again, the previous video, you can see more, but when you see this thing land, you know, even if you didn't want to watch the other full video, if you just wanted to fast forward to the point of the landing and then do the same thing with this video, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see how much of a difference the landing is. So let's go ahead and get on over here. I just did this wrong. I meant to separate right here. Did that totally wrong. But I can make this work. I'm doing this totally cattywampus the way I usually do it. But this is fine too. I'm accomplishing the same thing. See, I was going to separate the third stage first. And then this would be over here, and then I would still turn this around and dock. Because this is going to be part of my craft that's going to go into lunar orbit. And the third stage is just going to be jettisoned. So I had to do this anyway. So I'm just kind of doing it a little out of order. The last video, this separator right here, see, the last video I didn't do it this way. I left it turn the other way and I took it into lunar orbit. And when I separated the LEM, you know, the stage that was going down to the moon, this separator was left orbiting the moon. So it was space junk. And then I had to go into the tracking station and get rid of it manually afterwards. The way I'm doing it now, this piece, see, this whole thing is on a trajectory to crash into the moon. And this piece is going into the moon, so I don't have to do anything about it. When I get done with this separating of the third stage, this third stage is going into the moon also, so I won't have any space junk on this mission, like I did on the last one. Again, this mission's in real time. It's like the real craft would be. So these moments right here take a minute. You know, this docking is going to be, you know, this is all automated. Mechjeb is doing this. I equate Mechjeb to a flight computer. So this is going to take a while. But if you've ever seen any real docking on TV, if you ever watch any of the Soyuz, be prepared, you know, unless you're going to try to fast forward through all of it, be prepared for it to take some, you know, a while, because it really does take a while. So this simulates more of a mission. If you did this manually, you could speed it up a little bit, but I actually prefer this. I prefer to watch it. Just kind of gives me a sense that I'm really in the journey. And I love the docking camera. The docking camera is a mod, because it just gives me these extra views. These extra effects just add to the realism, the feel, the experience of spaceflight. Okay, now I'm turned around. See, now I'm actually docked. So I'm cool. So let me go ahead and get rid of this stage that I was supposed to get rid of in the first place. Before I did that, this time I'm just doing it. This is the craft that we're taking to the moon. really have to do anything with this craft, but I am going to. I'm going to do the extra effect that I like. Okay, we're about right there. I'm going to give it a minute to make sure I'm not going to collide with the craft. There she goes. It was on a collision course with the moon anyway. I just sped it up a little bit. Now let's get rid of the fairing. Gonna do an inclination burn. Make sure we're coming in on the right plane. I just used the 0 plane. Yeah, I should have done that beforehand. See what I just did? It wasn't orientated correctly. This might throw me off a little bit. See, I was actually going backwards. I was actually orientated backwards from the way this rocket was going to fire. I think that might have fucked me up a little bit. We're going to see how good my orbit's going to be on this, because that I screwed up right there. See basically what that was is I entered the wrong coordinates in the computer. So I'm going to have to see how this ends up affecting how circular the orbit ends up being. You can see here, this is the craft that I give that little boost to, and you can see the more I speed up, the more farther away you can see that it's going. But they're on 2 separate trajectories. This is on, and same with that little piece of space junk. So here's my new trajectory for the mothercraft, and there's a trajectory that it was on before I made these changes. So my piece of space junk and this 3rd stage crashing on the moon, I don't have to worry about it. can see as I warp. There you go. Alright, let's take a look. 30. 25 and a half. 30 and a half, 25 and a half. So we're a full 5 kilometers off. And it was probably because of that cattywampus. Those wrong values that I put in the computer. So I could try to do a circulation burn again to get me more circular, or I could just leave it. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. Okay, going into prograde. Since this is the direction that the craft will be going to land on, I just put it. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to be separating it, so I'm going to separate it this way since that's the way it's going to be going. But it didn't really matter. But this is more the correct way to do it. Okay, now we're going to figure out where we want to land, and I already know where I want to land. I want to land, these are all my bases that I put up here over time. And this is the one I want to go to right here. Okay, put me coordinates that are close to it without me crashing into it. Okay, program the computer again, and we're going to make our way down.
New text message received.
There's where you see the differences between this craft and the other craft in the last video I made. Because the landing legs on the other craft were longer, wider, they're strapped without the girder. I kept the tanks and I just turned them and strapped them right alongside of them. So they do look quite a bit different. As I said, the other one is a little more streamlined. This one is a little more mechanical. So I like them both. There's the mothership. Before, you could see that piece of space junk on my last mission, because I didn't separate this and dock it before I came down. So it's gone. I brought extra fuel because this craft is so big. I bought extra fuel for the descent stage and extra fuel for the ascent stage. This capsule is quite a bit bigger than, let's say, an Apollo capsule or the MK, got the name of it now, the stock one. You can get them in 2-person and 3-person, and 1-person too, actually. This one is a 6-person. This is the Gemini, called the Gemini rescue ship, and it's also in the Apollo mod, and it's pretty much the biggest one. You know, other than going with something like the Dragon 2 or something. But the Dragon 2 is, I don't really like it in the mod. I like it in real, but not particularly in this game. It's too bulky. It has its own motors on it, and it just doesn't fly how I like it. So I don't really use it. I played with it a little bit, and just wasn't too happy with the whole experience. You can find a mod that has the Dragon 1, but of course it's unmanned. And if you want to try to simulate some SpaceX missions. Okay, you can see the fuel is going down, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready to... I think I'm going to go ahead and just... Sometimes I'll empty them one at a time. But I think this time I'm just going to empty them all at once. I could have started this earlier. I'd do it one at a time. Sometimes I do it that way. Okay, just drained them all. You can see it gave me a lot more fuel than I had. To be honest with you, I didn't really need all of them. I haven't actually tried to land without them. I don't even know if I needed them, but it would have been really close. In fact, I don't think I could make it without using some of the fuel, even though I didn't need all of it. But it's just, I think it looks cool. It adds extra dimensions to the game to me, you know, manually putting the fuel in. I have all these on separators. I'll be jettison these as soon as we get down a little bit closer. And they'll go crashing into the moon. Same thing with these when I do the ascent, which will just be this part. This part's going to stay. And the ascent I didn't need them on the ascent as much as I did the descent. In fact, I didn't even need them on the ascent. I put them on there for a couple reasons. One is, like I said, for the extra things to do, the extra, that mechanical kind of raunchy look that I like. And on this particular mission, you can see I actually have ullage motors strapped to these tanks, which you'll be seeing when we blast off from the moon. They give me a little extra kick at the liftoff, even though I didn't actually need them, but it just, again, looks cool. Alright, let's go ahead and get and jettison these. There's my base down there. You can see there's another ship down there already. I've been here before. In fact, I was here earlier today. I basically flew this same exact mission already once today. So this is actually my second time. I didn't record the other one. I just put this base up here a few days ago. And you're going to see these guys detonate here pretty quick. Ba-boom, boom. Now we're getting ready to go down in this crater. This was a kind of a challenging area to put this base in, because there's a lot of craters in this particular part of the moon. And if you look at the map, you can see that it doesn't have as many flat spots in it as a lot of other ones do. And looks like it's gonna land right in between base and the other ship I just put down here. Now again, anybody wants to fast forward, just so I can kind of show my points why I'm actually doing this video, is mainly for the comparison between these two landings right here. Now watch this landing compared to the stock, what the stock legs will do. And see if you look at the other one. See this ground had a little slant to it. That's why it kind of one side hit and then the other side hit. But that's pretty got a slant. But again, if you look at the other video, you'll see there's a big difference between the way this one landed and the other one. This one did, you know, hit one corner and then the other because of the slope. But you can see that once it hit, it just landed. There wasn't any uptake to it. There wasn't any bounce. See, there's my other one. It's the exact same craft. The other one, it kind of goes dum dum, like it was spongy, you know, like it was. Well, I mean, you know, the other one had hydraulics, and this one doesn't have any hydraulics. So I guess it's just what you prefer. Okay, there's my base. Let's go over to it. Okay, pick the door. See, I can't come out this door because I'll crash right into that solar panel and tear that sucker right off as I've done before. Okay, I brought 4 guys up. I'm gonna go ahead and take that guy out. Not what I wanted to do. But you can see just how big this craft is. See, now you can get a little better look at those legs. See how I put the struts on there? Make it look like it was attached rather than just hanging off there. And they were, because of the width, I had to put, you know, something else unattached there. I mean, you can look at that. You know, it's up to how you look at it. You might think that looks wonky, or that I could have done that a little bit better, a different, better way. But see how it, if I didn't have these struts, at least this way looks like it, you know, it's attached boom and attached boom. If I didn't have these on there, this would just be hanging out there, and it would just kind of give the look. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't make much sense. You'd go, how in the hell is that thing supporting itself? But at least with the struts on there, it looks like it could. Even though maybe I could have done this a little bit better. But this is a pretty acceptable way to me to use these legs. And, you know, I actually like the looks of the legs, but more importantly, I liked the characteristic of the legs. Now let's go ahead and go over here for a second. There's my base, and let me go into it. I'm going to leave this guy here. Okay, he's in. You can see I got quite a few people here already. See, there's all my living quarters. You got your stash house right there. Let's go ahead and take a look. There's one of the stash houses. There's one of our views. There's my craft out there. Pretty cool. There's one of our Kirby's. There's a different view on the other side. And there's my spear base. I actually saw this on a forum, saw these spears. Somebody used them for something a little different. I liked the hell out of them. I said, I gotta incorporate that into a base. So I made 2 of these. This one I like. The other one I made, it's the same exact thing. I just put these 2 extra sections on the end of it, on all 4 legs. So it's just bigger. Same exact thing. Just picture these being out here and out here and out there. So just a bigger cross basically, and even more room. You can see these are the guys I have in this now, and with the extended one, it just made this even look bigger. So again, something a little different. Plenty of solar power. This one's kind of compact, where the other one is kind of expanded. You know, little. Just extending it out gives it quite a bit different of a look. But you look at this, and you know, for those who kind of know about this mod, HyperEdit, that's how I did this. That's how I brought this up here. HyperEdit's a mod that lets you build your own space stations, and I mean, the mod doesn't build the station, the mod just brings it up. So you build the station however way you want it in the spaceplane hangar, and then use the mod to put it in orbit around whatever planet you want, and then to actually bring it in. You set the coordinates and bring it in, and then you use this mod called Vessel Mover to pick this up and put it wherever you want. Just depends on how you play. You know, some people look at it as a cheater mod. I guess you could call it that if you wanted to. I look at it way different than that. I don't look at any particular way you play this game as, quote, cheating. I mean, some diehards think you're cheating if you use mods. You know what I mean? So it's just how you look at it, how you want to play the game. I couldn't have these types of bases up here without this mod. I could make my own bases, and I do make my own space stations in orbit because it's kind of fun to do it that way. This way wouldn't be. You can't have the type of bases that you can if you tried to build it in place. There's just no way. I mean, you can have some pretty cool ones, but you can't have these stuff like this. So I have, if you look at my map, you can see, I mean, look, all of these, and they're all different from each other, and they're all brought up here with HyperEdit. I have same thing on Minmus. Now, of course, when I did my station, you know, I did the station the old-fashioned way. I don't use HyperEdit for that, but I do use it for the bases. And then I use the Vessel Mover. You know, I have them all placed, and you know, it's still big time consuming. You know, these bases take a long time to build, and it takes Vessel Mover quite a long time to get them up here, and takes quite a long time to place them where you want. So, I mean, anybody who's played this game, they could probably have an idea how long it took me to do all this. A long time. But again, this suits me. It suits me for the type of missions I'm doing. So you're seeing I'm leaving this guy here. I have 3 guys left in here. I could have brought all 6 up if I'd wanted to. I could have brought 6 up. I could have left, you know, I could have left all 6 here. I could take 6 out and bring 6 new ones back home. A lot of different combinations that you could do. Yeah. I mean, it's just how how you like to play the game, but I personally think this looks pretty damn badass to me. And I actually think when I extended it, I put one on Minmus just like this, but the extended one, it looks, both of them are badass. Okay, let's get her ready. Back to my craft. It does got pretty good slope to it. It's a lot more pronounced because that craft is so tall. You wouldn't, on a short craft like say the limb. This is my descent stage of this same craft. The limb is even shorter than this. The limb is maybe right here, so it looks a lot more squat, a lot more compact. You can't, these slopes like this don't have as much influence on them as they do on this big craft. To be honest with you, I could have put this base on some flatter ground. See, I got it. I do have it. I did put it on a slope a little bit. But in this area right here, man, I moved this place all over, and see if you can look all around here. And you really can't see any flat areas. If you go way out, I mean, look at this terrain. In this particular section of the moon, man, it was hard to find something flatter than this. So this is kind of what I settled for, unless I wanted to, move it on a completely different side of the moon. Just adjusting my staging a little bit. Oh. She's way ahead of me. I might have some catching up to do. I like to launch these when he's way up about right there. one of my favorite launches with these OH motors. You're going to see this separate, and you're going to see this fairing kind of disintegrate as it takes off. I'm just going to drain 2 of these tanks. I'm just going to let the other ones go. I have way more motor here than I needed. If I take this scrap to minimus, I needed even way less. I mean, I could have... This is going up a little bit too fast for me. See how it's already at the coast phase? I should have kicked this... I should have kicked the thrust down on this about 40%. So this journey right here would have been longer. I don't know, the shorter it is, kind of the more unrealistic it is. Shit, if I fly the same craft in Minimus, shit, I can put the thrust down to these on this motor to about 10%. Because you hardly need anything on Minimus. I think I lost him. He's down here on the other side. It's kind of about timing on where the mothership is in relation to this. I've had some what I call super bitchin' fly-ups to the mothership where I would fly up and I would see him, you know, right around here during the whole flight, and it would only take like an orbit to get to him. And those are the best ones, the most satisfying ones to me, where I can see him the whole way. But this one's not going to be like that, because see, I already can't see him. So it's going to take some maneuvering. In fact, you can see here, it's going to have to boost me into a almost 65 kilometer orbit. Yeah, it was quite a bit off on this one. I mean, look at it. 2 hours and 51 minutes of actual time before the next burn. Gonna be seeing him here pretty quick. There he is. Getting close. You can see some of my previous landings. We're whizzing on by. There's a base with some craft. You know, all over the place. I've been here so many times. Each one's new, each one's a new journey. I got, man, and over the years I've accumulated just about every game known to man. Gross exaggeration, but quite a few. I've been playing this game a year or so, and I keep a lot of games on my computer because I have quite a bit of space. And if I play all single player. I don't play any multiplayer. That's just not my thing. So if a game has replayability, I keep it. You know, if it's something I enjoyed, the story and the experience playing through it, I'll keep it because I'll play it again and again and again and again. You know, some games I haven't played for a year or two, and I'll look at them and I'll say, "Oh shit, I'm gonna go check this one out for a while and be a whole new experience all over again." But I only do that for the games that I know I'm gonna play. Some I know I'm never gonna play again, so those I might delete. But anyway, out of all these games that I have, this is the only one I play now. You know, since I discovered this game, I mean, you know, I'm a space nut already. But when I discovered this game, it was like, holy shit. Where has this game been? Why have I not seen this before? I mean, it just was right up my alley. It was just, I mean, like perfect for me. And this is not everybody's cup of tea. You know, some people would be boring as fuck. You know, they gotta play something like Far Cry 5 where they're blasting, you know, 20 people every second, going into games so they can kill some shit, you know what I mean? And I like doing that too. But this is like more, I don't know, just more my speed, I just get a kick out of this shit. So it's just really, it's kind of got to be your thing. It's why I kind of make these videos, because I'm sure no expert at this. In fact, I'm pretty much still in rookie status, even as long as I've been playing it. My videos are geared, actually, the videos are for me. foremost because I'm pretty much the only guy who watches them. I get a kick out of watching my own videos. You know, just the experience all over again. And plus, gives me pointers on how to make better videos, hopefully. Some people can't hang with this kind of stuff, and some people just love the hell out of it. I mean, it's the same thing with first-person shooters, which is kind of my thing. You know, if I wasn't playing something like this, or third-person shooters. That's the kind of games I like to play. But as I said, I'm not a multiplayer. Just, you know, my son is a multiplayer guy. You know, back in the Counter-Strike days, he could sit there and play that shit for go on a 5-day run with no sleep and still be playing that damn game. Okay, let's make sure I'm faced the right way. We're going to do another burn. To get me out of this orbit and on the trajectory home. But you know, multiplayer, hey, that's your thing, that's your thing. You know, when I got into them, for one, I couldn't keep up with these youngsters in the game. I couldn't keep up with all the bullshit that was talked about in the games. Made me feel old. And I just didn't like going into a game and looking around my shoulder the whole way, wait for a bullet to enter my skull, you know. I just didn't get a kick out of doing it. You know, I'm kind of all about the story and playing at my own speed, playing at my own pace. You know, instead of this, you know, twitchy going into games, looking around, you know, trying to find some dude to blast. That, you know, that's, people get off on that shit, but I just never did. Never did. From the very first one I played, I'm kind of going, I don't know what the big deal is, why people like to do this. Give me the old single player, I don't even need a connection. Just give me a game I can play and have fun in. What's that game? PUBG? What the hell does that stand for again? Damn. Can't remember what it stands for now. You guys know what I'm talking about. I hate that game, man. I would have never played that game. My daughter plays that game non-stop. That's all she plays. And I'm kind of going in there and I'm just going, man, I don't know, man. I don't know what the attraction is. But to each his own, you know what I mean? However way you roll. It's cool with you, then it's cool. Okay, we're on our trajectory home. Now I don't even have to do anything from this point on. You can see there's no periapsis around Earth. So that means you're going close to the planet. So when you get around it, it's gonna pull you in, and you're gonna deorbit. This is not where I like to stop though. You know, some people time their fuel so they'd be out of fuel right now. I don't like to play that way. I like to have way more fuel than I need instead of cutting it by the skin of my teeth. Plus this way right here on the free return, you have no control over where you land, and that's what I like to do. I like to have the control. So I take one more step, and of course you can only do this if you have enough fuel. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a periapsis, and I'm going to set it at 100 kilometers. Then you can see what it's doing here. It's changing my orbit. Or now I won't re-enter. There'll be a real short burn right now, and then I'll have a way longer burn. That's why you need the fuel. And you can see how much fuel I still have. See, I have this big tank. And I gear all my missions like this for how I like to play. So once I go back into an Earth's orbit, now I have control over where I'm going to land. And you can see I've got my periapsis now. Before I do that, let's get a little closer. Like now I'm going to circularize and get into an orbit, and then from that point on, then I can choose where I want to land. You know, it's kind of like the ending of the game. The whole thing to me is about the experience, so I want to land in the daylight, and I want to land on land. So let's go ahead and circularize now at the periapsis, which is already there. And, you know, I want to land on land. I want to land in the daylight because I want to see it. That's the whole thing. I want to see it. On a free return, it's never going to be in the same place. It might be in the daylight one time, might be in the dark, might be over land one time, might be in the middle of the ocean. So if it's in the middle of the ocean and it's in pitch darkness, you might as well just quit the game. I mean, kind of what's the point? I mean, for me, anyway. So I want to do, you know, I want to see it. I want to be able to separate from the craft. I want to watch the craft come down. And I want to see it detonate when it hits before I land. It's just extra things for me, extra visuals. Okay, let's go ahead and put the solar panels in, since I won't need them anymore. This is where the fuel comes in, because this is a lot of fuel, because when you came back into this planet you were coming in so hot, you were going so fast, you needed as much fuel to burn the speed off to lower your orbit as you did when you first blasted off to go to the moon in the first place. So you got your long translunar burn, and then you have this one coming back into orbit, and they're pretty close to being about the same length of time. So if you're not going to do this part right here, you can, you know, you like living on the edge, you know, you time your fuel so when you got back to this point you were on fumes. And some people like to play that way. Personally, I don't. Alright, we're gonna do one final burn now. And let's pick where I want to go. Yeah, I'm coming around the same. Now this is, I tried this same thing the last time and it took me 2 tries to do it. Mechjeb on the moon or Minmus is dead on accurate. I mean, you can put your coordinates in and it will land exactly where, you know, you saw when I landed next to the base. You can get pretty close to it. It's not the same here on Earth, on Kerbal. Because of the atmosphere, Mechjeb really approximates. And it can't do the pinpoint stuff. So you have to, you know, I've got where I land in a particular way because I want to pinpoint it. Like even hitting this guy with Mechjeb is pretty hard to do. Because if I put, I'll show you. I'm gonna try to duplicate what I did before. I'm gonna go ahead and hit target on map, and I'm gonna choose the outer edge, like right there. But it won't land right there. If I let just Mechjeb take control from right here, it won't land right there. No telling where it'll land. It's like it's never gonna be the same both times. So I've got where I have my own way of doing it. I'm going to go ahead and go land at target. And I'll show you. I have my own way of doing it and I'm not successful all the time. That's why I usually save it at that point. And if I don't land where I want, I'll do it again until I can get it right. Like if I can't hit that little island right there, I'll usually try it again. Last time on the second try, I was dead on. I hit it. First time I came up way short. So I do a half Mechjeb. See right now, I'm gonna do a half Mechjeb, but as soon as this burns over, I'm gonna kill it, and I'm gonna manually do it from there. Right there, I'll kill it. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and go on a line it up retrograde since I'm right about the point. But if I let Mechjeb do the rest, like I said, it's kind of a crapshoot. One time it'll hit it, one time it'll be way long, one time it'll be way short. It's not consistent. At least I haven't figured out how to make it consistent. It might just be me. And now you can see I'm close. And as a matter of fact, man, I might just leave that. See, usually I have to go about this much long to hit it, because if I did another burn until this point is right here, I'll come up way short. I'll end up being over here somewhere. So that one is going to be close. I have the width of the island to work with. Maybe I'll go just a hair. Maybe right there. I'm going to try it right there. Alright, now I'm going to warp. And I hope yeah. This might be okay. I might still be short, believe it or not. I might still be short. I might have needed to have done that a little bit more. Alright, let's see where I'm going to be. Okay, 70 kilometers. Okay, that sucker's out here quite a bit still. I'm just going to go ahead and let her coast. And see how close I can get it. Kind of fun landing on a little island like that. I'm not good enough to be more accurate than that. You know, being that the atmosphere, it's like this game almost makes it like random half the time. Like, let's say if I wanted to land right there, there's no way I can do that. I'm not good enough to do that. Maybe if I took Well, see, you can't take manual control over it when you're not landing it. You know, like if it wasn't accurate on the moon, for example, you could take manual control of it since you're using a rocket. But here you can't. You know, here you're coasting and you're relying on parachutes. So it's a lot harder, let's say, to land right there, or even harder yet. Let's say you wanted to land right there. Man, ain't no way in hell. I'd probably have to do 1,000 flights to hit that, and then I'd probably never be able to do it again because it varies. Oh, I'm getting close. I need to do something here. Okay, there it is. 42,000 feet. This is going to be close. What do you think? I can't even call it, man. If I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking I might come up a little bit short. Keep going, dude. The last time I did it, I landed about right there. Actually, no. Actually, I'm not gonna be short. I just hope I'm not long. If I'm long, I'm really gonna be pissed. It's hard to gauge it, man. Sometimes you think you're gonna be short when you're not. And right now, I might be getting close to being long. Ooh, man. If I just miss this, I'm gonna be pissed. God damn. Shit, dude. Shit. Check that shit out, man. That is fucking rock on, dude. Yeah, rocking on. Fuck, I was like, didn't know there for a second. That's actually, man, I can't get much better than that, man. That's pretty damn good. Had me biting my teeth. Had me biting my tongue there for a second. And I might as well bleed off a little mono. Fuck yeah. Safe and sound, little Kirby's. Later, dudes.